Hello everybody, Gene Daddy here, and this is neither a political post nor a musical post today. This has to do with more social issues. I was having a discussion with one of my homeboys, one of my coworkers, and we got around to the discussion of relationships and such, and uh, the subject came up to how, women today are more or less grown-ass children. Hence the title, Ladies, You May Be a Grown-Ass Child If. And some of my experiences, in the past, like for example, I was dealing with a woman who was 38, around 38 or 39 at the time, New York City school teacher, and it was a thing where she was expecting me not only to have the ideas of what we were going to do, but for activities and stuff like that, but then pay for them at the same time. So it's like, well, what do I need you for? You have no input and I have to pay for it. You're dead weight. You are a grown ass child. That's what you do with children. Hey kids, we're going to Great Adventure, or we're going to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, and you as a parent have to pay for it. So, you know, that's an example, and we're talking about women essentially from 35 on up, 35, 40s, and even some 50s. Now, you also may be a grown ass child if you are incredulous. Like that one example, that woman also was a single mother, which I never should have been involved in the first place, but that's another story. If you are incredulous that a man has financial stress from having to pay child support, women take that for a joke because the fact that they never have to pay child support. So here's a woman who is receiving child support from her baby daddy, and then is incredulous that another man is, has limited funds, or is trying to be restrictive with his funds because he's also paying child support. You may be a grown ass child if you cannot, discern that. Also, ladies, you may be a grown ass child if you can't or won't, you refuse to cook and you don't feel it's your obligation. Now, maybe for young women, I might see that because they don't have the experience, but this is a thing where I'm going to come back to that actually. But if you can't or won't cook, you're a grown ass child, because that's just part of adulthood. Also, ladies, you may be a grown ass child, and this is a recent situation that I was involved in. A recent example. If you are well into your 40s, like late 40s, and you're still living in your parents' house, you're a grown ass child at that point. And then when it comes back to the cooking thing, I'll expound on that now, where the best you can do for your man is like pour a bowl of cereal. Really? You can't even scrape together some decent breakfast, cooking wise? Because I mentioned the cooking thing because women that I knew growing up, cooking was part of, they felt, I would say, obligation, their responsibility, part of their physical contribution. Because yes, men cook. There are men who are chefs. There are men who hunt and cook wild boar. But there's something about a woman cooking for her man, her family, where it shows her offering, her contribution to the relationship, to the situation. And a lot of older women saw the value in that. Like my ex-wife, I was married. I have nothing against marriage. I'll talk about that later. She loved to take care of the house, and I let her have at it. That was her thing. That was nesting, whatever you want to call it. I am not an interior decorator by any stretch of the imagination, and that was her domain. I did not get in her way. That was her contribution to the relationship. Another recent situation that I was in, you're a grown-ass child if you still throw temper tantrums. So, this one woman that I was involved with recently in the last couple of years, if things didn't go her way, if she was upset, she'd do the effect of slamming down the phone. She would end phone calls like halfway through the phone call, throw a temper tantrum. And if we were physically in the same place, run into a room and slam the door behind her and lock herself in a room. And this is a woman who is around the same age as me, above the 50-year-old range. You are a grown-ass child. You may be a grown-ass child if you are still throwing temper tantrums when you're like, 50 years old and up. And like I said, this is not a MGTOW thing. Like, I do not, some guys are into the MGTOW thing where they have men going their own way, where they have completely given up on women. I have not. I do follow the scriptural thing where, woman is our rib. They are a part of us. They are meant to be with us. So the same way I would not throw away my hand, my elbow, my earlobe, the big toe on my left foot, I would not throw away my rib. And marriage obviously is not designed for men. I would completely agree with myself that it is rigged against us, in the court system with custody, child support. Again, fortunately for me, my son is going to be of independence age, so I will have that burden off of me financially. But yeah, a man has everything to lose in marriage. I still believe in marriage. I hope I said that, because I have been married before. I still believe in the institution of marriage. But, a man has everything to lose in terms of property assets, financial assets, family relationship assets he has to lose, losing time, seeing your kids every day, hands-on, seeing them grow up. So men have everything to lose. So when women look at child support as a joke or as a vindictive tool, they're grown-ass children in that regard. Lastly, I'm going to mention the mattress game. If your mattress game ain't tight, I'm not saying you got to be a hoe or promiscuous and everything, but if you are above 35 years old, well into your 40s, and your mattress game ain't right, if your equipment ain't up to par and working, you got a problem. If I'm trying to ring your bell and I got to be like Mike Tyson and, Mike Tyson that bad boy, or hit it with a sledgehammer, to get it to react, that's a problem. That's not very motivating in the relationship. So that's my 2 cents on that, about women these days, because men who love women are still looking for decent traditional women, to perhaps, if they're of age, to have a family with, if they're not of age, just to have a solid relationship. But there has to be, you cannot come with the grown-ass child syndrome. That is not going to work, So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Fight amongst yourselves in the comment section, like and subscribe. I'm Gene Daddy, and I am out.